When a giant anaconda appeared at a construction site in the Amazon rainforest, workers quickly realized something was seriously wrong. The snake, known for its immense size and strength, was moving unnaturally slow, and a large bulge on its body was immediately noticeable. Concerned, the workers called in a veterinarian, knowing this could be a life-or-death situation for the massive creature. As the workers waited for the vet to arrive, the situation became more tense. The snake was sluggish, and its condition seemed to be worsening. The bulge on its body looked suspicious, and the workers began to worry that the snake could be in severe distress. It wasn't the first time a snake had appeared near the construction site, but this one was different. The workers speculated that the snake might be pregnant or carrying eggs, but they weren't sure. Time was ticking, and the vet needed to arrive quickly. The vet, upon hearing about the situation, agreed to come right away. However, getting to the construction site wasn't going to be easy. The remote location in the jungle posed several challenges, especially with the additional traffic and difficulties in navigation. But the vet knew she had to act fast to give the snake the best chance of survival. One of the workers suggested picking her up, but it was clear that this would take too long. Thankfully, a worker in the company warehouse had an off-road Jeep, and the vet made the decision to take this route, which would take around 3 hours to reach the site. While the vet traveled, the workers did their best to manage the situation. They noticed the snake had started to move more aggressively as it became more agitated, likely from the pain of having something obstructing its digestive system. The workers knew they had to keep the snake contained, so they used metal plates to block its path into the jungle. However, this method was far from perfect, and they had to keep adjusting their makeshift barricade to prevent the snake from slipping through. 3 long hours later, the vet finally arrived. The snake, still sedated, was in the same spot, though its aggression had increased. The workers were clearly relieved that the vet was there to take control of the situation. But the vet knew that she had to act quickly. Sedating a giant anaconda wasn't without risks, as there was always a chance the snake wouldn't wake up. Despite the uncertainty, she was confident that the only option was to sedate the snake and perform surgery. With careful precision, the vet injected the snake with a tranquilizer. Over the next few minutes, the snake's movements slowed, and it eventually became fully unconscious. The workers, who had been on edge for hours, let out a collective sigh of relief. They had been in constant danger and fear, but now they could finally focus on saving the snake's life. Once the snake was fully sedated, the vet got to work. She knew that the bulge in the snake's body had to be dealt with immediately. After feeling the snake's body, she confirmed her suspicion. Something was trapped in the snake's stomach, and it couldn't be digested. Surgery was the only solution. The vet began preparing her surgical kit, which had been transported in the Jeep, and made the first incision into the snake's body. As she cut through the skin and muscle, the object causing the bulge was finally revealed. It wasn't what anyone expected. Inside the snake was a small plastic cooler box. The workers immediately recognized it. The cooler contained meat they had been storing, but the meat had spoiled, and the workers had discarded the cooler outside the truck. The snake must have caught the scent of the rotting meat and mistakenly swallowed the whole box, thinking it was food. The vet was baffled at first, but the workers now understood the situation. They realized that the snake had made a fatal mistake by swallowing the cooler. They were just as worried for the snake's survival as the vet was, as the cooler was blocking the digestive system, which could lead to severe complications. With careful precision, the vet removed the cooler and began stitching the snake back together. The process was slow and meticulous, as the snake's size made the surgery more challenging. But the vet was determined to save the creature. Once the surgery was complete, the vet inserted a chip into the snake's body, which would allow her to monitor its recovery. The workers anxiously waited as the vet finished her work. After a few minutes, the snake began to stir. It was groggy at first, confused by the sedation, but eventually, it started moving more quickly than it had been before. The workers were overjoyed to see the snake moving with more agility, no longer hindered by the obstruction that had plagued it for hours. Before leaving, the vet thanked the workers for their bravery and their help in keeping the snake contained. She returned to the city, where more patients were waiting for her attention. But her work wasn't finished. She kept track of the snake's recovery through the chip she had inserted, and over the following days, the snake's behavior gradually returned to normal. The operation had been a success. In the end, the snake's life was saved thanks to the teamwork and quick thinking of the workers, the vet's expertise, and the determination of everyone involved. The incident also highlighted the challenges of working in such a remote and dangerous environment, where life and death situations can arise unexpectedly.